One day. Chargers rookies report tomorrow. It's almost unbelievable to say. But anyway, it's coming fast. We want to play a game we like to call One Reason Why. So how it works is I'll give you a hypothetical and you tell me one reason why it might happen. Bill, if this is the year Josh Allen and the Bills finally reach the Super Bowl, what will be one reason why?
One reason why will be one of his young receivers breaks out. Keon Coleman or Dalton Kincaid are the primary potential pieces here. They need a guy who can be a bucket. When they need a guy to get open, to make a play, they need a wide receiver Josh Allen can trust. That offense is obviously going to flow through Josh Allen and James Cook, but they need one more guy, one more receiver to step up and be that player Josh Allen can rely upon.
Harry, what do you think if Buffalo gets over that hump? What do you think is the reason?
I think they're going to need a little help from someone else in the AFC. And what I mean by that, they're 0-4 versus the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. They need someone else to knock off the Kansas City Chiefs before they actually play them in a playoff game. And I just feel like for that organization, for that fan base, if you go 0-5 versus Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, there's going to be a lot of deflation with this side of that organization and also that fan base. A few years ago, I was in Buffalo when they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs, and a lot of people, a lot of fans in Buffalo had high hopes. And walking out of that stadium and hearing a little boy 10 years old saying, man, we're never going to beat the Chiefs. We're never going to get there. That stuck with me, man. So they need somebody else to beat Kansas City before they actually, play an AFC championship game and so they can reach a Super Bowl.
Harry, I was there that night too, and I was also there this past year when they lost in Kansas City. It was a pretty deflated group. Buffalo needs that breakthrough. Maybe they'll get it one of these years. Mike Tannenbaum, if the Aaron Rodgers Steelers make the playoffs, what will be one reason why?
The clock has been turned back to 2021. We're looking at one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of our game in Aaron Rodgers. But he hasn't played very good football when healthy over the last couple of years. If he could get back to late in his prime with Green Bay, they have a chance. Keep an eye on Caleb Johnson. He is a third-round running back out of Iowa. He could lighten the load on what will be a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers and help him get to where he wants to go.
What's Pittsburgh's path to the playoffs?
Well, Aaron Rodgers does one thing really well, and that's protect the football. He has the best interception rate in the history of the National Football League. Even if he's not the guy from 2021, which maybe he'll be that guy, but if he's not, at least he can still protect the football. And then, of course, the Steelers win games all the time. Defense and special teams. TJ Watt strip sacks, block punts, block field goals. This team manufactures wins with bad quarterbacks. If they get the Aaron Rodgers from a few years ago, they're going to be great. But if they just get an Aaron Rodgers who can protect the football and win games with complete team performances, they will be just fine.
Going to need to get TJ Watt signed and back in the building too, but we assume that they'll do that. Harry, this could be a misprint on the script, but if the Chiefs miss the playoffs, what would be one reason why?
Whoa. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, don't waste your time. Don't give yourself the headache. I want y'all to zoom in on my phone. The only reason the Chiefs will miss the playoffs is because pigs started to fly. And damn it, we know that's not happening. So don't even waste your time, ladies and gentlemen. It's not happening.
All right, fair enough. One of the reasons the Chiefs have established that kind of standard, that it would be shocking to see them miss the playoffs, is, of course, the play of their great tight end, Travis Kelce. But Kelce's getting a little bit older, and Chiefs GM Brett Veach recently had this to say about Kelce as he moves into the later part of his career. He said, we've all seen it over the last few years. There are periods throughout the season where you're like, this might be it. But when the games are the most important and the lights are the brightest, he finds it somewhere. They can't access it at that age week in and week out, but when they need it, they know how to find it. So Kelce, at this point in his career, not what he used to be. What he used to be was spectacular. What do the Chiefs need Kelce to be, Harry, if they're going to return to the Super Bowl and win it?
Guys, they need Travis Kelce to be reliable and clutch when it's asked of him. And the reason why I say that, last season early on, Rashee Rice had become the #1 target for Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Thank you, Himbo, for this stat. Weeks 1 through 3, Rashee Rice led the NFL with 24 catches. And also, he had the highest target share in the National Football League at 41%. Now, you add that, and on top of Hollywood Brown's going to be healthy this year. Xavier Worthy has another year under his his belt after a phenomenal rookie season. Travis Kelce doesn't have to be relied on every single game to be the number one guy collectively as a group. But I think Rashee Rice coming back is going to help a lot of that.
What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, they need. I really agree with Harry from this standpoint. Believe it or not, Patrick Mahomes was 30th in the NFL in air yards per attempt, which is a really good stat in terms of how far down the field the ball is going. What they need with Travis Kelce, and I've had this conversation with aging players, is look, we are on the same side of the table. You could help us win a championship because your 15, 20 plays a game may be the most meaningful third down red zone, and you're going to be pissed and frustrated in September and October, but you'll be rewarded in December and January because you'll be fresh for the playoffs. So I love the Rice, Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy explosiveness. Those air yards is not Patrick Mahomes. That's not what they are. And then he should be a meaningful point scorer. And I know we hate this expression of like load management in the NBA, but there's a little bit of that, what they can do with Travis Kelce early in the season to keep him healthy late in the year.
Yeah, I mean, Brett Veach, to his point, he struggled in the final 2 games of that season. He was not the Travis Kelce we saw even earlier in the year during that final run. So I think he was a little gassed out by the end of the year. And certainly it feels like load management makes sense, and also where you use him makes sense. Third down is such a key spot for the Chiefs, more than even other teams, because they are not a team, to Mike's point, that throws the ball down the field and picks up a ton of first downs on first and second down. They had the highest third down conversion rate of any team in football with Patrick Mahomes in the lineup last year at 50%. They need Kelce in those spots. They need the guy who can feel out those zone coverages, the guy who is willing to change his route, break off his route, and only be on the same page with Mahomes. That guy is the one the Chiefs need throughout the year, but maybe only, like to Mike's point, for 15, 20 snaps, with all those snaps coming on third down and in the red zone.
We are back on Get Up, and we have a new segment called Trending or Ending, where we look at a few trends from the NFL, and we decide whether they're going to continue or not in 2025. So I want to start with rookie quarterbacks. At least one rookie quarterback has won a playoff game in each of the last 3 seasons. This is Jordan Love. That's not a rookie. But trust me, one rookie quarterback has won a playoff game. He did. Well, it wasn't a rookie, but it was his first year as a starter. Brock Purdy won 2 with the Niners in 2022, C.J. Stroud in 23, and Jaden Daniels last year, obviously, with the Commanders. So, Harry, will that be the trend, or will this trend come to an end this year of rookie quarterbacks winning playoff games?
Like Boys to the Men, it's going to be to the end of the road. It is ending, guys. When I look at Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans, I don't see them making the playoffs. When I look at the New York Giants, you look at that daunting schedule that they have with Jackson Dart, they're not going to make the playoffs. And then you go to the New Orleans Saints with Tyler Shough. I don't think they're making the playoffs. And last but not least, I'm going to the Seattle Seahawks and Jalen Milroe. They're not making the playoffs. And excuse me, there's one more, or I should say 2 more. You have the Cleveland Browns. Whether it's whatever quarterback that they drafted or whatever quarterback that they have, they're not making the playoffs either. So, yeah, I think it's ending.
All right, so we'll see about that. Now, Jordan Love was very eager to jump into this trending or ending segment, so it is his turn. Since becoming a starter in 2023, his hallmark has been slow starts and really hot finishes. Weeks 1 through 9, he actually leads the NFL in interceptions with 18 in 15 games the last 2 years. But in the final 9 weeks of the season, he leads the league in QBR and has 30 touchdowns to just 4 picks. So, Bill Barnwell, will Jordan Love's trend of slow starts continue, or will it come to an end?
It's ending because, to sort of quote Boys to Men, let's not wait till the water runs icy in Green Bay.
My goodness.
Let's get the first half of Jordan Love going. The Packers made moves this offseason to do that. They bring in Matthew Golden. They drafted Savion Williams in the 3rd round, 2 highly drafted wide receivers. Jordan Love was hurt last year with the knee injury he suffered against the Eagles, the groin injury. He suffered later on in the first half of the year. This is going to be a more balanced offense for Jordan Love this year. He's going to go off to a quicker start, and I think you're going to see the Packers lean into that and throw the ball more often early in the year.
All right, to Dallas now, where the Cowboys were 7-10 last year. They have not had consecutive losing seasons since they finished under 500 3 straight years from 2000 to 2002. So, Mike T, do you think the trend of the Cowboys not having consecutive losing seasons continues, or does it end? And do you have a Boys to Men lyric to back you up?
Yes, according to ChatGPT, Boys to Men ended the road, so the trend is ending. So I am bailed out by AI here. So, and let me tell you why it's going to be ending. Because they're going to be a lot better on offense. They got 3 first-round picks on the offensive line. They're going to have a new coach in Brian Schottenheimer who's going to do a good job with George Pickens. and obviously CeeDee Lamb. So I really like this team offensively. They're going to go in the right direction. I work with Brian Schottenheimer at the New York Jets. He has a very distinct vision on how he wants this team to play. I don't see the playoffs because they really struggled against the run last year on defense. Matt Eberflus, new defense coordinator, I think he'll do a good job. It's a work in progress. I don't think they have a losing season. They don't make the playoffs, and that's the only Boys to Men reference I have.
No, that's outstanding. I didn't think he'd come through with that. We're all very, very impressed with your ability to use ChatGPT. Speaking of the Cowboys, George Pickens was their big offseason acquisition, at least the one that got the most hype. Their quarterback, Dak Prescott, was singing his praises earlier this week.
We'll turn on that guy's tape. He's getting separation. He's got separation even when he's not getting the ball at times. And hell, when he doesn't have separation, he's still making the catches. It's not going to be hard. For me, it's about getting that ball near that guy and letting him go beat George Pickens. And you go turn on the tape. He's great at doing that.
Harry, how good can this be, this CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens wide receiver duo for Dallas?
I think it can be very dynamic. I think you see two guys who are going to go over 1,000 yards, and they might both be in the top 12 in receiving yards next season. George Pickens in his catch radius and what he provides in the red zone, winning his one-on-one matchup, even when he's covered, he's not covered. So still give him an opportunity to make those contested catches because he's so great at it. And I'll tell you guys, man, I do a podcast with Roddy White and Julio Jones, and I asked Roddy not too long ago, why was it so important for him to embrace Julio Jones when we drafted him back in 2011? And Roddy basically told me, for us to get to where we needed to be, he had to do that for Julio Jones and become that big brother and show him the ropes in the National Football League and embrace him with open arms. So I look at CeeDee Lamb and him basically saying, hey, we got two number one wide receivers. I'm going to welcome George Pickens with open arms. And I just love things starting off that way in their receiving room with those two dynamic players.
You know, Harry, it's not about open arms. What they're really hoping is at the end of the season that the Dallas Cowboys front office will be on a bended knee to try to get George Pickens signed, because what they don't want is Motown Philly and have George Pickens go up to the Eagles. So, you know, there's a lot of concerns here if you're the Cowboys. But that in all seriousness, when you have a player who's on the last year of a deal like George Pickens, he will be highly motivated, and nothing would make Dallas happier than to have a high-class problem in terms of how to afford him and CeeDee Lamb.
Bill, you're bullish on this duo as well. While Mike continues to look up Boys to Men lyrics, what do you got for us?
There is some really fascinating stuff happening with George Pickens in terms of the move from the Steelers quarterbacks to Dak Prescott. And if you look at the catch rate over expectation that the NFL Next Gen Stats put out, George Pickens is in a company with some of the truly elite receivers in football: Devontae Smith, Justin Jefferson, Terry McLaurin, George Kittle. He is catching more passes in Pittsburgh than you would expect for an average receiver, given the quality of the throws in his direction. He has a lot of contested balls in Pittsburgh, a lot of 50-50 throws, back shoulder slants.
That's our weekly pancake segment that we do with Jeff Saturday and Lane Johnson of the Philadelphia Eagles, the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, here with us this morning on Get Up. So, Lane, I don't know how familiar you are with the Jeff Saturday pancake segment, but he highlights great blocks by offensive linemen every week. When you are doing that, we have a lot of fun watching it. How much fun is it to actually execute a pancake block?
It's exciting. I get real excited. Not as excited as Stout gets on the sideline, but right. Still pretty close. No, it's definitely a thrill and a big part of our game that we love. So anytime we can get them, it's a good thing.
Is there a big reaction like in the film room, like when that shows up on film? Yeah, the guys go nuts?
Oh yeah, a lot of it's when Landon makes pretty big impact whenever he hits guys. Him and Jordan. So it's been it's a lot of fun to watch.
Awesome. Well, there's a new award this year that they just established for offensive linemen, this Protector of the Year award. How excited are you that is finally a thing, and how determined are you to try and win it?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I credit Dion for really getting this thing going, Orlando Pace. And so, I think it's been long overdue. And, I can't wait to compete and see what happens. But, I'm glad it's finally in the picture after all these years.
You guys obviously famous for the tush-push play, the short yardage play that gets the quarterback into the end zone or gets him the first down on 4th and short. This offseason, that was a big topic. There was an effort out there to ban the play. Because that effort failed, does that, and knowing it's kind of maybe still out there, does that change anything about what you guys do, or does it make you even more determined to dominate with that play?
No, I mean, it's still a play that, I think it was 2 votes shy of getting banned. But, yeah, I mean, we've, I never thought, after all these years of running it, that it would come to what it has become. But, yeah, I mean, it's one of these things that, we don't really think about. I think the guys that should have the most vote are the centers, the guards, and the D tackles that are across the ball. So they get a lot of the, force. But, yeah, no, it's something that lives on, and we live to fight another day.
Yeah, it's obviously working out pretty well for you guys. Obviously, one of the stars last year, maybe the biggest star you guys had going was Saquon Barkley, who fell just short of the NFL rushing record because the coaching staff and he opted to sit him in the final game to rest and make sure he was good for the playoffs, and obviously that worked out really well. But as an offensive line, how badly did you want that shot at him breaking that record?
Yeah, it would have been awesome to have. And, looking back, I think we made the right decision. It ended up the way that we wanted to. But anytime you have a player like that, he can make special things happen. But, we just wanted to protect ourselves from injury, so it was what it was. But, we have another shot this year and, see what we can do.
I got to ask you, because this comes up a lot on our show, 20 years since the NFC East has had the same champion in back-to-back years. Why is your team the team that can break that curse?
I think you look at the roster, we have a real solid shot. So, we've always been in a competitive division. I think the Giants are surging. The Commanders obviously had a great team last year, and Dallas too. So, yeah, it's always been competitive. And so, yeah, it is very strange that nobody's repeated. So, hopefully we can change that this year.
Dallas has a guy we talk about a lot, especially we're talking about contract extensions that could get done this offseason. Micah Parsons,
yeah.
Is he one of the toughest guys you go against? What's it like to face him?
For sure. Yeah, he's just so fast and explosive off the ball. Anytime you're late, late to the party, he's going to blow right past you. So, yeah, I expect him to get a big payday soon. And, he's earned it, man. He's, one of the best in the league, if not the.
You are at this offensive lineman masterminds camp that you've been hosting there for a couple of years. Tell us a little bit about what goes on there, what that's all about, and why you like it so much.
Yeah, so, we've got a lot of Hall of Famers here. Joe Thomas is here, Kevin Mawai. And, yeah, it's just a way for us to spread knowledge of the game, things that go with it on and off the field. But, yeah, we have a lot of college guys here, some high school and a few pro guys. So just been a great way to expand the game of football, especially the O-line community. And, it's really, we started with 27 guys and, around 200 this year. So,
wow,
just a great weekend to learn a lot and really hear some interesting stories from guys in their careers.
Bill Barnwell's bold prediction segment. We call this Bold Bill, and we want to start in the NFC. So, Bill, what do you got for a bold prediction to start us off?
I'll start in San Francisco. The Niners will win their division and make it all the way to the NFC Championship game. Of course, we talk so much about the offensive players in this team, but it's the defense that needs to turn things around. Robert Saleh, the new DC, did such good work there his first time there. He's going to rebuild that defense with some of the young players there, and they'll have a healthier offense this season.
Staying out west, what do you got on the Raiders?
The Raiders are going to double their win total for 2024. They have upgraded at the two most important positions in football, quarterback with Geno Smith and head coach with Pete Carroll. They had the lowest fumble recovery rate in the last 20 years last season. That's not going to keep up. They're going to force more turnovers, going to protect the football on offense. It's a tough division, but I do think they're going to be competing for a wild card spot this season.
And one more. How about the Washington Commanders?
I will say the Commanders will miss the playoffs this year. They are a very talented football team with their star quarterback, but that was a team that relied so much on veteran players. They're a much older team than people think, missing a lot of draft picks from that Ron Rivera era. Don't really have a young core around those guys outside of Jaden Williams and the guys they drafted last season, and they were so good on fourth down. Won a couple of games they had no business winning last year with late comebacks. Tough to keep that up year after year.
All right. Well, that is not necessarily a popular opinion, but a bold
asked me
one
for a bold
sure.
one.
No, absolutely. No, hey, I'm not complaining one bit. But I know Harry Douglas feels differently, in particular because of the Commanders' young second-year quarterback. Right, Harry?
Yeah, 1,000%. When I look at quarterback Jaden Daniels, who's so cerebral, came into the league, hitting the ground running, found his groove, but his intelligence and the confidence and the trust that everyone within that organization, they actually have in him, it says it all. This is a football team last year who were 6th and 3rd down conversions, 1st and 4th down conversions. Jaden Daniels also led the Washington Commanders in rushing with 891 yards and 6 touchdowns, completed 69% of his passes. The young man, listen, since I've been born, September 16th, 1984, my eyes haven't deceived me. So last year in 2024, my eyes weren't deceiving me when I was watching Jaden Daniels at the quarterback position, and the way he put this franchise on his back and led them to a playoff berth and actually the NFC Championship game, honestly.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a lot better, Jaden Daniels is. Hebo gave me a great stat. Look, they acquired Laramie Tunsil and Josh Connerly, and last year, Brandon Coleman, their left tackle, gave up 14 sacks. Laramie Tunsil hasn't done that in 3 seasons. So when you look at his QBR being 4th overall in the league with 47 sacks, you got to think that with these 2 tackles, he's going to play even better. Bill, massive questions on defense. That's totally fair, but we're looking at an absolute superstar here. I think a top 3 quarterback. I think there's no way the Commanders miss the playoffs.
A lot of excitement down there in Washington. Bill Barnwell, the wet blanket. We'll see. We'll see how that works out.